Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays when I go live on YouTube around 4 p.m. Central Time, or outside of YouTube. If you want to reach out to me, you could consider joining the Discord I created. There's a link for that down in the description below. Also in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. I get asked many times what kind of food I'm eating to lose weight. That Pinterest board has a lot of our favorite recipes on it. Today is day 828 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose 240 pounds so far. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear them. If you have any on-scale victories, I love those as well. How are you doing on your diet? Are you succeeding on your diet? What are you doing to succeed? Are you failing on your diet? What's causing you to fail? At the end of the day, what are some things that you're going to do that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Hello, everybody. Christy, Amy, Pretty Girl's mom. Thanks for checking out today's video here. I hope you guys all had a great weekend. I know we had a wonderful weekend. We had a little bit of a celebration. Our oldest daughter turned 10 this past weekend, and so we celebrated that. I'm trying to see. So it's been since Thursday that I was live. So I do have a few food photos throughout the weekend. I'll talk about a little bit about it, and we'll just go over some things. So let me get this going. See if this will work. So Thursday evening, after I got back from work, I had a big bowl of broccoli. I must not have had much throughout the day, so I had a bowl of broccoli at right before dinner. Oh, you know what it was? We had mega veggie chili for dinner on Thursday evening, and I just wanted to have some more non-starchy vegetables. So I had the bag of broccoli, and then we had our mega veggie chili for dinner on Thursday evening. Here's just a photo I saw. Let me see if it pops up here, that I had shared to Carrie, because we'd been talking a lot recently about how the cost of eggs were going up. So I thought that was a funny photo. I'd sent it to Carrie. But then Friday morning, this was breakfast. I'm pretty sure I had broccoli as well Friday morning, but I don't have a photo of it here. Let me see the next photo here. This was Friday evening. This is from Chef AJ's Reboot. It's like a red lentil chili. Carrie had cooked this up for us to have Friday evening. We had a weekend for my daughter. It was her birthday, and one of the things we did for her birthday was we rented a couple hotel rooms that were next to each other, allowed her to invite a couple of her friends over to the hotel and swim and stay the night, and kind of had what we called a staycation birthday party. So Carrie had made up this red lentil chili from the Reboot, and we had it before, but we had mixed in like rice or potato into it, and this is the first time we just ate it as it is, or here. I really enjoyed it. Like I felt like it tasted much better without kind of adding brown rice or adding potato to it, because it diluted the flavor. So I ended up having this for dinner on Friday evening. And then trying to think if we ended up having anything Saturday morning for food. Hey, Rebecca, how's it going? Driving, you better pay attention to the road. I'll try to not be too distracting. And so on Saturday, I think I ended up having to go into work for a little bit Saturday. So I didn't end up eating breakfast on Saturday till after like 1 p.m. It's something I've talked about a little bit here the past couple weeks, is that I have been trying to push the first time I eat in the morning till a little bit later. Saturday, it wasn't really by choice, but I didn't end up eating anything till about 2 or 3 p.m. on Saturday as my first meal, and it was oatmeal. I'm not loving I wasn't loving our oatmeal all weekend because Carrie didn't have any more steel cut oats. And, so we ended up just using rolled oats in our oatmeal. And then we've been using this Table Tasty, and it has a good flavor, but it's not near as good to me as the Kirkland no salt seasoning. It's very heavy in like it's got a lot of nutritional yeast in it. So if you like that flavor, then that Table Tasty is great. I don't mind the flavor, but it's just not as good as what I'm used to. So I'm getting more adapted to it, and I am enjoying it more, but it's not quite as enjoyable as our kind of normal oatmeal is or was. So then Saturday, shortly after I had the oatmeal, I ended up having some more of the red lentil chili from leftovers. And then Saturday evening, Carrie had made this is like a pizza. So this is like an oatmeal based pizza with a marinara sauce she made. And then she put onions and mushrooms and corn on top of it. We've had this pizza a lot throughout the past 2 years. I always enjoy it, and it was no different this past weekend. We had that on Saturday evening, and then Saturday after dinner, here's some cobbler. Something that we've been enjoying a lot of on the Chef AJ reboot is the fruit cobbler. It's a really simple recipe to make. I think it just takes a couple bananas and some rolled oats to make the topping, and then you just use whatever frozen fruits you have available. So that was the cobbler that I ate on Saturday evening. And then Sunday I had, I didn't take photo of breakfast, but this was mega veggie chili for lunch on Saturday. Let me see. Just trying to see what other photos I have. So that was lunch on Sunday. I'm sorry. And then for dinner, we did have some people over for my daughter's birthday, close family or immediate family, grandparents, at the house. And so we had some lasagna that Carrie made. It was really good. Now this wouldn't probably qualify for the Chef AJ reboot, but, it was great, and it's salt, oil, sugar free. It just has some pasta in it, and the ricotta Carrie made, I'm not exactly sure what that was made with, if that would fit in the Chef AJ reboot. Barb says, greetings everyone. The sun is shining and it's been a beautiful day. That is awesome. It's been a really nice day here too. The weather warmed up a little bit. It was very cold over the weekend, so it's been a nice day today here as well. So that was dinner last night with some lasagna that I enjoyed. And I think that our guests enjoyed it too, or enjoyed it enough. I'll talk a little bit about the vegan in me coming out this weekend in a minute here, but this was dinner on Sunday, and then today I had a bowl of broccoli before I had oatmeal. Didn't take a photo of it. Here's oatmeal, and then this was lunch, which was another bag of broccoli. So I have 2 bags of broccoli in already today, and then a pile of potatoes. Just a massive amount of food, and it was so delicious. So that was kind of food this past weekend. The thing I guess I'll talk about now about the the vegan in me, or the growing vegan in me. Hey, how's it going, Janet? I hope you had a great weekend. So we had the birthday party for my daughter on Friday evening. And one of the things about the party was that we were going to provide food for the girls that came to the party. We went back and forth about what we were going to do. We landed on pizza because it's generally the easiest thing to make the most people happy. And there is a restaurant near us that makes a vegan pizza that's really good. They make a few different vegan pizzas that we have enjoyed. And so the only downside with it is that they are crazy with the upcharges on their food, which, for their vegan food, like they charge like $4 or $5 extra for vegan cheese, and then $4 or $5 extra for vegan meats. It's insane. Like, but it's a really good pizza, and we were wanting to get something that everybody would enjoy. And prior to ordering, we kind of, like I said, we went back and forth on what to do. And prior to ordering the food, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get a couple vegan pizzas for us and some of the other people that eat a vegan diet. And then I'll buy like a cheese pizza for the girls. And when I went to order the food, I don't know. I just decided to just get all vegan pizzas. So we ended up getting a vegan deep dish pizza, which is by far my favorite pizza that they make. It's got a ton of marinara sauce. They put a vegan sausage in it, and it's like fried dough. So we got one of those. I ended up ordering a vegan thin crust pizza with vegan pepperoni on it, and then a cheese bread with vegan cheese on it. Paid, like I said, through the roof for all of it, but I just didn't want to buy cheese. And the girls didn't really complain about it to us. If they had a problem, they seemed to eat everything that we had. We didn't just have pizza for them. We had potato chips and popcorn and all kinds of other snacks. So if they didn't like the vegan pizza, they had something that they could eat. Hold on one second here. I was trying to do something, but okay. And so Carrie says they were painting. She lost track of time. Well, thanks for joining the stream. I hope everything's going great at home. So yeah, I just couldn't bring myself to order regular cheese pizza. Prior to it, I was like, well, at least if I order cheese pizza, then it's not any meat. And then I was like, I really feel like the dairy industry is as bad or worse than the meat industry in the end. So, and Barb says it was a good experience for my daughter's friends. Yeah, maybe maybe one of them will be like, well, that wasn't so bad, or I did end up enjoying it. So, thanks, Janet. And so, yeah, it was just something that it would have been easy to just order it. It would have been cheaper because they're upcharging again, like I said, and with the price of things, I think it's ridiculous that they're upcharging. And that's something that I was going to show here. Now, this isn't a true representation of what I would say the actual prices of things are right now, but we were at a hotel this weekend that had a restaurant there. It was like a steakhouse. It was called Steakhouse and Chops, or Steak and Seafood. And as I was going to the elevator, they have this electronic billboard thing that was flashing up the prices of things. And I just couldn't believe the pricing. I'm going to pull this up, and I really don't have a great frame of reference, I guess, to what would be comparable, or like I said, and this is probably inflated pricing for our area for these things because it's a nice restaurant, but still just crazy to me to get a 6 ounce of filet mignons, $42, 10 ounces of it's $54, a 22 ounce bone and ribeye is nearly $80. Like, just wild, like for 1 pound of the Berkshire bone-in pork chop, it's $33. For 1 pound of broccoli, 99 cents. It's just wild how expensive food is getting. Again, I don't have anything to compare this to. They might have been $42 for a 6-ounce filet mignon 2 years ago. I don't know, but I feel like the prices of everything are just going up and up, and animal products and dairy and milk. And we're seeing it in the egg, with the egg prices now because of the bird flu that's going around, that the prices of all this stuff is just getting through the roof. And I thought it was crazy that, and then at the end of the day, it's sad because like maybe they got a bunch of cuts of meat from this animal, but that animal's entire life is whittled down to a dollar value. Like if the only piece of meat that came off of that cow was 1 6-inch filet mignon, he's worth $42. Like, is that what a whole being's life is worth? Is that all it's worth? And so that's just some of the crazy, and like I said, I saw the prices of this and how expensive this stuff is getting, and then dealing with ordering from a pizza place that they're upcharging for cheese and the fake meat, but the other products, like they probably increased the prices of their pizza, the base prices of their pizza, to account for the rise in cost of cheese and the rise in cost of their products. But then they tax us vegans on top of it. So hopefully someday they figure it out and they quit charging so much extra for it. But also it does keep us from ordering from there. Like, it's probably been over a year since we bought pizza from this place because it's so expensive. We can, because me and Carrie don't eat it. And that's part of the reason too, is that a year ago, we had ordered it because me and Carrie would be eating it as well, or eating most of it. So we had justified spending the money. But if it's just our kids eating it, we can go to a place like Your Pie and get them a much cheaper pizza that they don't upcharge for everything. And the kids are just as happy with that as they are with us spending $30 per pizza on some other place. So, so that was this weekend here. Thanks, Pretty Girl's mom. Yeah, it was, I don't know. It was an interesting kind of mental, gymnastic thing that went on, because it was like, I really want to buy them, a vegan option or plant-based, or not, not cheese, not butter, things like that on there. Not real animal meat. But I also wanted to make them happy too. Like, I didn't want all these girls to show up to my daughter's birthday party and then buy some food and have that ruin the whole party. And it didn't, it never really, like I said, to us, it never got brought up. Maybe at school today, all of her friends were complaining about the food, but there was plenty of other snacks and they went through all of it. So, and I don't think they were worried about it at all. They were just excited to be in a hotel room and away from their parents. And so the food was a big deal to me, figuring it out. But to them, it was just, it was a passive thing. It was just what was there, or what they had available to them. So it was a good weekend. I really enjoyed it. And I got to do some swimming. The doctors released me a little bit with my brace. He's allowed me to open it up so I can stretch, straighten my arm out and bend it. And so I got into the swimming pool a little bit, and it was fun to do some swimming. It's been a while since I had, and I got to do a lot of playing with the kids. And really, it was a lot of playing overall with the kids this weekend. I was around them quite a bit. Carrie had her family in town, or her parents were in town, so she was kind of entertaining them, making sure that they had, that they weren't bored, I guess. So I was hanging out with the kids a lot. Carrie says it was a fun weekend. It was busy. Glad to be back into our normal groove again today. Yes, so happy to be back into the normal groove of things. I did have some broccoli over the weekend, but just being able to get back into that kind of routine of big bowl of non-starchy vegetables and then oatmeal and then the same, big bowl of broccoli for lunch and then potatoes and then having great dinners. It's mega veggie chili Monday. I don't think we're going to have mega veggie chili. We might be eating leftovers from the weekend, but we're back getting into our groove. We're getting back into our regular routine, and it really helps to get into our regular routine. And I guess that kind of leads me into what the title here today is: practice makes perfect. I think that we all try to be so perfect on our diet right away, and we get so frustrated when we're not perfect right away. And we have to realize that it's nearly impossible to be perfect right away at anything. You look at any of the great athletes, you look at Tom Brady. He wasn't a great quarterback the first time he touched a football. Nolan Ryan wasn't a great pitcher the first time he grabbed a baseball. These people had to spend years and years and years developing and honing a skill to be able to become the best in those fields or even become good in those fields. But when they first started off, they were not, they were not throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs or 50-yard touchdown passes. They had to practice. They had to take time to get good at it. And you have to sit there when you start a diet, you have to realize, how long does it take to get good at something, and it varies depending on the thing you're trying to get good at, but nothing is going to have maybe not nothing, but most things aren't going to have a curve from amateur or novice or unexperienced to professional that doesn't require lots of practice, lots of training, lots of commitment, lots of repetitiveness, and lots of failure. That's a big part of this. And we get so wrapped up in trying to be perfect, and then we fail, and then we just clear the chessboard, and we just stop. We give up, but you have to think about, how long does it take to get good at something? And I think back to when I was in high school. I used to wrestle a lot, and we would travel to different areas of the country to wrestle different people, or we would go to these wrestling camps where we would spend 5 days at a college where somebody, we would do 2-3 practice sessions per day, working on specific techniques or trying to just get better at wrestling. We're practicing to make it perfect, or practicing to become perfect or better at what we're trying to become. And one of the camps that we used to go to was out in West Virginia. And it was a really fun camp. We would go out there. We would do like 2 weeks sometime at the camp, or a week at the camp. And then we'd go down to Virginia Beach, and it was a fun trip. But one of the things I remember from the trip that I don't think I'll ever forget. And anybody who went to this camp at this time or this era, I don't think would forget it, because me and my brothers talk about it all the time. But there was an instructor at the camp. He was this very old guy. I mean, he was in his 80s, maybe, back in the late 2000s or the late 1990s when I was at this camp. And it was just this older gentleman that he had trained lots and lots of wrestlers to become state champions. He developed his own wrestling technique program that we were there learning. But he would stand up there in front of all of us, and he would talk about how in order to get good at anything, you have to do it until it's in the back of your brainstem. He used to slap the back of his head, and he'd say, you got to have it until it's in the back of your brainstem. You got to do it 1,000 times until it's in the back of your brainstem. And that's how you get good at something. You do it 1,000 times until it's in the back of your brainstem, until it becomes natural and instinctual to do that habit that you're trying to do. And with diet, is it that it takes 1,000 meals. You have to eat 1,000 good meals before it's in the back of your brainstem, or 1,000 days. And that's kind of what I did with this challenge inadvertently, was when I challenged myself to do this for 3 years. If you multiply 365 times 3, comes out to 1,095 days. And so I challenged myself to focus on my health and well-being for 1,000 days until it gets into the back of my brainstem, till it becomes just natural instinct, but maybe it doesn't take 1,000 days. Maybe it takes 1,000 weeks. Maybe it'll take you 20 years to become good enough to say that you're perfect, or that you're doing it right. Or, I feel like I'm doing amazing. I know I'm doing amazing. I can see I'm doing amazing on, when I look at the screen and I see that I've lost 240 pounds, when I get on the scale and I see that having a full busy weekend and eating all weekend doesn't cause my weight to go up. And it's this, continual learning and understanding that I'm a novice. I'm just figuring this out, and I went from, it's almost like somebody who was playing basketball with these other diets that I was eating. And then I decided that I wanted to become a professional baseball player. I'm like the Michael Jordan here of plant-based dieting. I'm just going to, in that I tried to become a professional, and I felt like I was a professional at eating this, I was definitely a professional at eating the standard American diet, but I thought I knew everything I needed to know about protein and carbohydrates and eating a keto diet and getting yourself into ketosis and using that to lose weight. And I felt like I knew so much, and I felt like I knew so much about dieting that I decided to start a diet channel about dieting, because for 20 years I had yo-yo dieted, and so many people out there that are overweight and that are grossly overweight than like I was know more about diet and health than many doctors do, because they've spent 20 years reading the different books and looking at the different studies and trying to figure it out for themselves. Whereas the doctor, if he's thin and not overweight or doesn't focus on obesity, he doesn't look into it. So I started this channel thinking that I would, use my diet knowledge from before and be able to share that and help make, my progress and reach my goal. And then I start fasting. I find out about the pleasure trap, and I switch over to eating a plant-based diet. And then it's like I went into I'm in like junior ball. I'm like playing with third graders, like I'm not even to the minor leagues, when I started this. Now I feel like I am learning and I'm developing better, and I'm now, to the point where I'm at the minor leagues, like I spent the time to learn so much over the past 2.5 years that I'm so much better at this than I was when I started this. But I think another part of the practice makes perfect part of this is that there's the practice of being perfect will help you become better at this diet. But I think that when you have experiences where you fail, those are actually as important as succeeding, because when you fail, that's when you have the opportunity to get back and relearn and get back into eating this way. So many times when I failed on diets before, I just continued to fail day after day, and it would get so far away from success that failure would become the normal. Where with this diet, the whole second year of this diet, I feel like I practiced failing. I would go a week, and then we would order pizza from that place I was talking about earlier, and I would fail. But then I had to figure out how to get back on the diet. And the first time we failed, if you go back to September of 2021, the first time we went to a restaurant and ate a plant-based burger and had French fries that had salt on them, when that happened, that experience happened, it took us a day or 2 days to recover from that. And it's something that happens to so much of us. And I know it's happened to anybody that's listening to this, is you're doing perfect. And then you have a cheat meal or you do something that's off diet at noon on a certain day. Then you've created a justification to stay off your diet the rest of the day. Like it just happens. Everybody seems to do it. You're on your diet, you justify breaking your diet, and then it just becomes easier and easier to stay off your diet after you've justified breaking it in the first place. And when that happened to us in September of 2021, it took a little bit of time for us to get back into the swing of things and figure out how to get back into the swing of things. I feel like now, more recently, and it's been a couple months since I've eaten anything that had salt, oil, sugar in it, but when I did, I was back at my diet the next meal. It wasn't something where it was ruining a whole day. When I started, it ruined a whole day, or maybe even a couple days. And then it went from ruining, most of a day, and then half of a day. And then now it's to the point where I'm more likely that it's just going to ruin that particular meal. I'll be able to get back on track after that meal. Again, this is all experiences that I had 3-4 months ago and further out, because I've been better more recently, but it took that practice. It took that experience of failing over and over again until I got better at not failing. I guess you have to fail a few times in order to learn how to not to fail. And so many times people give up on their diet. Once they realize that they can't be perfect, they give up. And in being perfect, there's some wonderful benefits to it. And I'm seeing some great benefits to staying on my diet and staying salt, oil, sugar free. And it's, and you have to realize that you may not make the best choice, but if you're every decision, every meal, but if the overriding decisions that you make, if 99.9% of the decisions you make are right, then you're still going to get to your goal. In most cases, it's just not going to be as fast. And you have to accept that if you're going to allow some things into your diet that may be considered okay, but will also not give you the best weight loss results. And for me, something like that is like cashews or avocado or fruit juice. Like those things are on my diet, and I could eat them and still lose some weight. But when I don't eat them, I lose more weight. And right now I'm trying to get to the more weight category of my diet and not the some weight category of my diet as far as my weight loss goes. So, but just the big thing is that practice makes perfect. Perfect doesn't necessarily mean 100%. Tom Brady doesn't throw 100% completion percentage when he plays football. A pitcher doesn't strike out every batter that is at the plate, but if they put together 9 innings of doing the right thing, they can come out victorious. And you can do the same thing with this diet. If you put in the time to learn and to have these experiences and be willing to continue to go back, then eventually it will start to become your set point. Like me eating 2 bags of broccoli today, I feel amazing because I ate 2 bags of broccoli, and I could tell that I was missing that throughout the weekend. I did have some, but I didn't have as much as I had been having. That Thanks, Rebecca. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in the future. Yes, have a great evening. So yeah, it's the you want to strive for perfection, but understand that there's gonna be things that get in the way. And those things that get in the way and those experiences that cause your difficulty, those are going to make the success in the end. Getting through those difficult experiences is what's going to create the success in the long run throughout your diet. And if you are constantly fighting being hungry, it's really tough to succeed. And so that's why I feel like eating this plant-based diet that's focused on volume of food also helps make staying on your diet much easier, because that experience of falling off your diet or failing on your diet is difficult to come back from if you're eating these low calorie starvation diets, because you're just constantly finding yourself craving food and wanting to, justify just having a little bit of something, because your body wants anything. Just give it something, Candy's Journey, thanks for subscribing to the channel here. I hope that you find something that you can learn from it. And if you do have any questions, please ask them down below. I don't mind answering questions. So, and when I was thinking about this, that practice and the experience of failing, and it really makes me look back at that second year of this challenge, and how by challenging myself to do this for 3 years and to stay on this for so long, that kind of helped push me to kind of get back on that horse. Like they talk about, if you get knocked off riding a horse, you get back on again. Well, this diet, you get knocked off with this diet, you get back on again. And because I've pushed myself to do this for 3 years, that helped me have that little bit of drive to get back on the horse. And also, I think that because the experience has not been difficult in in the same sense that other diets that I've done in the past have been difficult, that the idea of getting back on the horse seems so much more appealing than it ever did in the past. In the past, when I was eating these 800 to 1200 calorie starvation diets, when I'd go off the diet, the thing I would eat, the off diet, was so good and so much more pleasurable than the diet itself was, that the idea of going back on the diet was just awful. Just like, it was like, why would I want to get back on that horse? Thanks, David. Great analogy. Get back on the horse. Why would I want to get back on that horse when it sucked? It was no fun riding it. Or I could, but with this diet, the ride hasn't been difficult. It's been enjoyable, and it doesn't seem like it's such a burden to get back on the horse. And so that would be the big thing with this, it's, and again, like with our diets, so many of us do this. We want to be perfect, and we're not, and we clear the table. What we have to realize is that it's, if your goal is to lose weight, if you're in the position that I was in, where I was 520 pounds, I got 300 extra pounds of body fat on my body to lose, I lost my train of thought. Where did it go? It was about how getting back on it's easier. Gosh, I can't remember what I had a great point. It was like historic. level point that I just totally spaced on. Anyways, I'm just spewing on at this point. So just, that's what it was. It's the perfection that we want to be perfect right away. And if you're losing weight, you don't have to be perfect right away. Like when you first start, when I was 520 pounds, that was when I could get away with the cheat meals, with the extra calories, with eating the avocado and the nuts and the nut butters and the fruit juices. When I was 520 pounds, I was able to get away with not being perfect. At the time, at 520 pounds, all my mind could think about was being perfect, though, because if I'm not perfect, I'm not going to succeed. If I'm not perfect, I'm not going to get the results that somebody tells me I should be getting. It's not the case. If you're so overweight that, like, I was so overweight that my body just melted the weight off once I stopped eating junk food. You know, it's almost like I had professors in college that would kind of be like, you'd have to actively work to fail my class. Like you would have to actively not participate and not answer the questions on the test to fail my class. And I feel that the diet, like, or me getting that fat, like I had to actively work to get that fat, like to fail so much on my diet. It was difficult, you know, and it was very expensive, and it, you know, in the end too, but it was like, I was forcing so much food and so many calories into my body that any change would have seen success. Where you have to start worrying about the perfection is when you get 2 years in, when you're 2.5 years, when you're 828 days in. Now is when I have to worry about being perfect. Now is when I have to sit here and say, okay, if I want to see the next 50, 60 pounds come off of me, I have to make sure that I don't see avocado. I have to make sure that I don't have soda around me. You know, like when you start, you can get away with so much more than when you're getting down to the end. And so it's about just continuing on. Pretty Girl's mom says that she went down the track choo-choo, but turned around and came back for me. Thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate it. But yeah, and it's wild. Like now that I feel like I know so much more, I'm so much better at it, that it does become a lot easier. And it's something that I had to practice a lot. I had to practice at succeeding, and I had to practice at failing. I couldn't just succeed. If I had just succeeded, then I wouldn't have learned near as much as I have learned by doing both. And so I challenge you to succeed and fail, but get back on. You know, like when you fail, figure out what you got to do to get back on track. You know, have a bag of broccoli ready to go. Have something to get you back on track. And I think that a big part of the previous diets that caused me so many issues was the low volume. And that makes this diet much easier. So that's what I would recommend, is eating a low volume, a high volume, low calorie diet. Gene says, you're doing great. Give yourself many pats on the back. Thank you. When you know better, you do better. Yes, when you know better, you do better. It's also a little bit I talked about last week. The Pleasure Trap book talks about, you know, when you go to family functions and you fail, it may, you eat something or somebody tempts you to eat something, it makes it tougher the next family function for you to succeed. Well, it's the same way. It's not just family functions. It's any social functions. It's going into your own pantry. It's driving down the road, going to work. When you can succeed, it makes it easier to succeed tomorrow. When I succeeded today at eating 2 bags of broccoli and a bowl of oatmeal and a pile of potatoes, it'll make it easy for me to succeed at that tomorrow because I did it today and it was a great experience for me today to do it. So try to work on those successes, log them in your mind, use them as energy or as a drive to get you through maybe an experience that's similar, but not the same, but for me, I really don't have much issue with staying on diet anymore because I've worked so hard at it. So I am going to get out of here, guys. I appreciate you checking out today's video. Keep practicing until you can become perfect on your diet. And don't just quit because something happened. You got to get back on, you got to get back doing it. So, and Carrie says, yes, collecting those little wins will help you build confidence and it'll make going into those unknown scenarios easier. And every time you succeed going through that unknown scenario, then it'll make the next unknown scenario even easier. So that is today's video, folks. Thanks for checking it out. If you have not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below. If you've not clicked on the bell icon to get alerted when I go live or post new videos, make sure you do that. If you've not hit the thumbs up on this video, make sure you hit the like button, comment down below. Maybe what experience have you had with the where you had to get back, you had some failure, you fell off the wagon, you fell off the horse. How did you get back on? What did you do to get back on? And if you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. There's nobody that reaches their goals, looks back and says, I wish I would have waited. I missed out on that birthday party that weekend because I had just started my diet and my whole life would be so much better if I would have gone to that birthday party and not lost the 200 pounds. Nobody says that. So get started, folks. David, thanks. Pretty Girl's mom here says you've been working really hard on getting every tiny little drop of oil out of your diet and it's making you really happy. That's awesome. I'm so happy. It's so amazing not having the salt, oil, sugar in my diet. So I hope you succeed. Keep us updated. And you guys all have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.